Man, I love it. I really like the way that was written.
I don't know if they're double entendres or what they are, but I like to write songs that sound like two different things, so people get the lyrics right and wrong. So the lyrics where I go awful you, it sounds like both all for you and awful you, whichever.
Yeah.
Oh,
whichever
yeah.
way.
That's cool to sneak those little subtle things
It
in
really
like
is.
that.
It is.
I mean, for me, it's one of those songs, depending on how the mood it feels, I can do it either way, and I want people to be able to sing it either way.
And therein lies your cryptic music. Man, you're really good with
You're
the lyrics.
talented writer, man.
All of your lyrics, you can actually say, are poetry. If you listen to the lyrics of what you're doing, they are cryptic. Everything you've done, and it is a poem. It's not necessarily, you're not telling a story. You are doing poetry and music, and it's gorgeous.
That's right.
I mean, that's beautiful.
I always got a little bit jealous of Bruce Springsteen because I watched one of his HBO specials, and he writes such great stories that I'm like, I write poetry, and he writes stories.
There's a difference.
Oh, yeah, big difference.
In all music, if you stop and look at it, you have storytellers, you have literally you have heart sleeve, lyrics. You have
writing right from your heart.
You have nonsense lyrics that literally make sense to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just nonsense, but the poetry and the music. I am impressed with the poetry tremendously because I was always, like I said, a huge fan of Jim Morrison because that's what Jim Morrison done.
It had that cryptic type,
his music started out as poetry. He wrote poetry before he ever did the music, and that poetry fell over into his music.
Right.
And it just...
And
Bob Dylan is the same way. Dylan's music was poetry in music.
Oh, yeah.
And the same way you mentioned Jim Morrison, like I think, when I talked about Days in the New earlier, and then I talked about Stone Temple Pilots.
Absolutely.
And to know that they did a storyteller special, and both of those groups I loved did Jim Morrison door songs.
Yes, and it was at that poetry thing. And I'm telling you, if you've never listened or read poetry, that's something you need to go back and do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because that's something I've always enjoyed growing up, is being able to read. My mother could always write beautiful poetry.
Really? I didn't know that.
Listen, like I said, she'd done a lot of things other than beat me. Trust me. But I mean, she was a very talented lady, but she done all of that in I don't even know how she done it because she never did have any quiet time, but she always found time to do certain things like that, but that was private and personal to her, and I didn't get to see that stuff until I grew older. That was stuff that I guess helped her mental
and
seven children.
That's how a lot of people get started,
years.
right?
I will always, it doesn't matter how tired I am or how much work I've done, I always give myself at least an hour because I know I might.
For yourself.
If I give myself an hour, I'll get 30 minutes of music in. And I mean, for me, that's really important to give myself that. And it's just recently over this past few months I've been sharing it with people. And I want people. You
need to share it more. Is all I tell you.
Yes, you do.
You need to share it more.
That last voice there, it really showcased the versatility in your voice too.
Absolutely,
that's kind of on the lower, range. of the spectrum.
I've never told anybody this story about that song, but I was always a big Jerry O'Connell fan from the Sliders show. But he had a show called My Secret Identity, and the melody of that always stuck in my head. It goes, "You'll never guess your secret identity," and that melody. I mean, I hate to say that I kind of took that, but I was inspired by that theme song.
Song.
So I mean, you're hearing it first. I mean, if you go online and you look at My Secret Identity and you hear that song, you'll think, "Oh, I see
there
where
you go.
He
There's
got
where
that.
he got that."
Ain't nothing wrong with getting inspired from something.
Absolutely not. We're going to take. This is our first break of this hour. We got to take a break. We come back. We have more Aaron Gabbard right here
At V99.3.